information, right? So John, I want to go for a server-side programming for the processes in the HR department. How do you think we can go ahead about this? John says, sir, we can have servlet programs. We can develop the screen using HTML. For the computation, we can use servlet programming. Also, we can use MySQL server and RDBMS and connect with the servlets. Now, his boss asks, what is a servlet? Then for that he responds, Servlet is a Java technology to create dynamic web pages. Then he says, but why servlets? Why when we have CGI? He responds, so in CGI, for each new request, a new process had to be created. With this, memory consumption becomes more and the performance of the system goes down. To avoid this issue, Java came up with servlets. Okay, now if you look at this, you have a client, okay, then you have a web server. What is a web server? Web server is a server which is installed on a system, okay, where it keeps listening for incoming requests. Okay, so in these, there any request comes in from the client, it processes that and get in touch with the server, database, gets the information from the database, okay, and then it responds back. Okay, this is the web server. One of the example of the web server is Apache Tomcat. Okay, so now before the servlets came into the picture, right, there was another technology was there by name CGI. CGI stands for Common Gateway Interface. Okay, Common Gateway Interface. What exactly it is? It's a little older technology. It is to have is exe files. Now what happens? When it is an executable file, when any request comes, a new process used to create. When you double click on the exe file, one process gets generated. It's in the memory. Again, you double click it, one more exe file gets loaded into the memory, right? For every request, a new process, okay, if you look at the task manager, there is a process. You will find all these processes, right? These are all the processes, even though they are exe files. Okay, so even though they are exe files, okay, they are once it gets loaded into the memory, they are called processes. Now, so every request, it used to make as a new process, it gets loaded into the memory. So that is a CGA. So what used to happen is, if more number of requests comes in, then it was difficult, to handle, right? So the more requests comes in, so many programs will get loaded into the memory. If I have 1,000 requests, 1,000 programs gets loaded into the memory, and it used to be very, very difficult, right? What happens? Memory is full, and definitely the system will crash. If it is too many, the memory is 100% full, and if somebody is trying to request and new allocation is done, it will say lack of memory, and sometimes system will crash. So this is the problem with CGI. Right now, then, how exactly people have resolved this issue is using servlets. Okay, in the servlets, what happens is it will not, for every new request, right, it will not raise a new program. What it will do is, every new request, it will convert into a thread. It will use thread will, you can have 10,000 threads, but it will use the same one process only. Inside the process only 10,000 threads would be created. So memory consumption is less and system will not crash, and CPU also is very fast because it's only one process. You need not jump from process to process to process to process to perform the operation. Okay. So this is the problem resolved, okay, compared to CGI. For every new request, right, so you have a thread. Right? Now the thing is, you have a web server. Web server is what is that? Apache Tomcat. So Apache Tomcat there is something called a web container, where the Tomcat will convert your request, the incoming request, the browser request, into what is that called as thread. Okay, so it is all taken care by Apache Tomcat itself. So that is why Apache Tomcat is called as a servlet container. Okay, so it is called as a container. Okay, now actually the before Apache Tomcat came in, there is something called Apache, right? So Apache was different, Tomcat was different. Okay, Apache was just plain very bare minimum web server. Tomcat was little better than that. So then later on what happened, Apache they have discontinued and they have merged Apache in Tomcat. They made it one single software which is named as Apache Tomcat. So the Apache Tomcat is like, you know, in between web server and application server. It has some more facilities like connection pooling and all is provided, right? Like, you know, it'll be working as a servlet container. It can hold, it works like a container in like, you know, in application server. It can hold the servlets and all. So that's why it is called a servlet container. It is little beyond the the web server. Okay, it is little beyond the web server. And he says when a new thread is created for each request, memory is saved and the server can serve many clients and performance of the project is very good, right? Now let's look at the servlet lifecycle. See, if you look at any lifecycle of any object, right? Any software, any life, like, you know, any, so it will have the creation, okay? It'll have the action, what needs to be performed and all. Then finally, there is something called destroy. That means the life of the object ends, right? Any object you take, okay, that is a beginning, then it has to perform some role and all. So then after that, the life ends, life of a cycle. Like, you know, the same thing with the servlet also. The servlet has got three methods, that is init, service and destroy. Okay, so init means when the servlet gets loaded, the what initialization has to be done. Okay, that is done through init. The second one is service. Whenever a new request comes, okay, it executes the service method, and what work has to be done will be written in the service method. And the destroy, like, you know, whenever the the servlet is removed from memory, then it is destroyed. Okay, now let's look at little more details about a servlet. We have been talking about servlet. What is this servlet? Right. Now, the servlet is an interface, okay, and it provides init, service, and destroy. Just now I have spoken. Init is for when the servlet gets loaded into the memory, service, whatever, when the new request comes in. When it is removed, then destroy. So you have two kinds of a servlet, right? One is generic servlet, another one is HTTP servlet, right? So let's see, like, you have a yeah, see here, this is how it looks, generic servlet and HTTP servlet. The generic servlet, okay, is so basically the generic servlet will work on any protocol, FTP protocol, HTTP protocol, or anything like, okay. So any protocol it works, but HTTP servlet is specifically for HTTP only, right? But the advantage of HTTP protocol is it supports your get method, post method, any method it supports. Generic servlet does not support all these methods, okay. Okay, now the next thing is okay, how many of you have downloaded Apache Tomcat? Okay, I will show you how you have to integrate with Apache Tomcat with Eclipse. And why people prefer Tomcat? Because Tomcat is very simple. See, like, you know, what is the size of Tomcat? No installation, nothing. See, I'll just show you what is the size of Tomcat. It's like 26 MB. Can you imagine a web server, okay, as a servlet engine, which is so powerful, Okay, comes in 26 MB, no installation, nothing, just start, simple. Okay, so there you have to download around 500 MB, 600 MB, 700 MB. You have to install it, you have to configure it. Okay, it's not easy to install an application server. And like, you know, you can, if you use Spring, okay, whatever application server uses, almost 80% you can achieve in web server itself, except the load balancer, right? So then, like, you know, why should I go for this one? And Apache Tomcat is free. Like, you know, other some of the, if you want to go for a WebLogic or WebSphere, like, you know, for high-end systems, it is a paid one, right? And small to medium based projects, right, good enough, like, you know, transactions per second, then you go for a Tomcat. Very high-end system, very secure, and like, you know, everything you want like that, then you go for this one, application server. Okay, now how exactly you look at this? Okay, uh, look at this slide. Okay, Windows menu, preferences, server, runtime environment, Tomcat version, and install it. Go to web, like, you know, Eclipse. Okay, then go to Windows, go to preferences, then go to server. Okay, then go to runtime environment, select add, then select Tomcat 7, select next. Okay, you specify the Tomcat directory, don't specify the bin directory, specify only the Tomcat directory, and then click on finish. Okay, and click on OK. So your Tomcat is selected. I'll repeat again. Go to Windows, go to preferences. Okay, then go to server, runtime environment, click on add, select Tomcat 7. Okay, click on next, then provide the location of a Tomcat directory. Please be ensured that, like, you know, don't give a bin directory over here, right? Click on finish. Okay, then click on OK. Here Tomcat is configured with Eclipse, right? So okay, so now coming back. Okay, now project creation in Eclipse, right? Now the next step, what you have to do is go to Java EE perspective, right? And like, you know, you go to change the perspective to Java Enterprise Edition EE. Now we are starting J2EE, right? So you change it to Java EE. Now go here, go to Windows, okay, open perspective, okay, click on other, Java EE should be there, click on OK, right? So okay, so okay, so once the you change the perspective to Java EE, what you should do is, okay, select file, new, okay, you select dynamic web project, okay, and you select the Tomcat version or here in case if it is coming, then type like my first program or whatever it is, like, you know, my first code or whatever it is, and click on finish. Okay, so that is how you create a project, dynamic web project. Don't forget to change the perspective to Java EE and then select new and select dynamic web project and provide the project name and click on finish. Your project is taken care. Now what you do is, you will get so many directories. Now the directory is, go under Java resources, you will have to put in your Java code or SRC directory. Then you will know all HTML files will get into web content directory, your XML files will get into webinf directory, and all your library files will get into the library directory. So the SRC directory will have the Java information, then web content directory will have HTML files and JSP files. Okay, so the webinf directory will have the XML files, and lib file will have the library file. These four things you need to remember, but once you do one or two programs, after that it will be very easy for you. The same thing has been written over here. Okay, the exception wise, what you get is the servlet exception also you get, unavailable exception also. You have this exceptions created for servlet also. Okay, now let's look at your first servlet program. Okay, now first is your HTML, then your web.xml, then rest.java. Yeah. So just look at this HTML file and type in what you know about it. Okay, this is a HTML code. I'll give you 30 seconds of time. Yeah, it is an anchor. Okay, so it's a hyperlink. So when you run this code HTML file, okay, it will say invoke generic servlet. When you click on that hyperlink, then it executes hello. Now let's look at what is this hello. I'll give you a minute of time. Just look at this what exactly this will do. Just look at it and take a guess. I'll be giving you a minute of time. Just take a guess what it might do. Just take a guess. It's like you have to understand this in a different way. Okay, the thing is, now the XML file you have to read in a different way. First thing is you should look at a servlet mapping. In that servlet mapping, you should look at URL pattern. So URL pattern is /hello. Okay, now it is URL pattern is mapped with a servlet S1. Okay, servlet name, that is servlet name. Now you have to come to servlet section to look at what is servlet S1. Okay, so servlet S1 is mapped with first, that is first.java. So that means to say, okay, that means to say first.java is the one it is taken. Okay, so that is what it is. Just look at this. Okay, so that is what it is. So that means whenever user gives correct, Vidya, you're right. Okay, you got it? Slash first you should look at servlet mapping URL pattern, then you should go to S1, then you should look at what is S1, which is first.java. Okay, so this is how. So web.xml is very important. You will be learning this in all other web services also the same thing is used. Now let's look at what is the first.java. Okay, the first.java, it is like this. You have a class first, then extending from a generic servlet. The service method will be invoked whenever there is a request comes from the browser, right? It comes, you have parameters like a request object. Whatever is being requested, it comes the request object. What response which should go to the browser will be part of RES object. Now, RES, that means response object set content type. So that means you're telling that what output will be sent to the response back to the browser. I'm telling I'll be sending from the server either text or HTML. Now print writer out equal to response.getWriter. So basically you need a writer object where you can write back to the the response. So it is like you have a book, but you need to have a pen to write. You have a thought, but you need to have a pen to write. So this print writer is like a pen. Okay, now you have if you look at this, what are you doing? HTML body, B for bold, H1 is for header 1. We are learning servlets, so this is what it is, and then it will give you body and HTML. Okay. So this is basically, it will display we are learning servlets in bold. When I run the HTML, okay, so look at this. Now the Tomcat gets loaded into the memory. Okay, so see here, localhost 8080 generic servlet index.html. If I click on this, okay, this is coming from a server side. Okay, we have a request where hello is one I'm sending from the browser. Then and the server side web.xml. So hello means S1 servlet name S1 means first.java. In the first.java, again what I'm saying, in the service portion, I'm setting the content and I'm just responding back via the link servlet. That's all, nothing else it is doing.